Yo, what's going on, everybody? Another day, another dollar. Hey, I can't start to fix more. I can't tell which way is. I can't. I can't tell which way is which. But coming into today, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, um, Tesla is up 0.58%. Let me share my screen. Boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. So let me go to get. Oh, Tesla jumped up 10%. 0.1%. So like, yeah, this is cool. But we'll see coming into today um, what that looks like. Let's go ahead and check red folder news real quick. So we do have red folder news coming in about 8 minutes, and orange folder news at 9:15. All right, cool. So we'll see what that looks like here, if that affects the market anyway. Taking a look at the news, I did see a couple of things. Let's check out this one. JPMorgan sees material risk to Tesla. Shares could fall over 60%. So let's see what it's talking about here. JPMorgan warns Tesla shares could slide more than 60% as the EV maker's recent political distractions and soft sales weigh on demand. Tesla stock fell about 5% Tuesday, extending a year to date decline over 25%. Analysts, forecast after Q1 which channel checks and just may deepen and trimmed his QP to 0.42. The analysts retain this on the right. Brinkman points to warning. Over the next 12 months, $115. Um, this okay. I'm gonna check into this later. But let's see. So Trump and Musk and Powell are still going at it. Tesla shares fell more to 5%. Yep, I know that. Trump said Tuesday that he was unlikely to reach a deal with Tokyo and threatened tariffs of between 30 to 35%. Yeah, so we're going to have to keep an eye out on this because the tariffs are due to end July 9th. So 7 days, 7 days. So I'm not sure how much the market is going to move today based on this. Since I'm new to trading, um, and I think even the most experienced traders, unless we haven't been in a situation like this, based on the type of president we have, the administration, everything that's been going on, like with the tariffs and the economy overall as a whole. So yeah, I think this is pretty much a new thing for everybody. But that's just me on the outside looking in. From that point of view, being a newbie in this game. So let's see. While Trump's messy public spats with Musk and Powell might be an entertaining watch, trade development should be the primetime viewing for markets. Failure to land more deals before that deadline will likely stoke concerns that sweeping levies will start to have an impact on the U.S. economy. Yeah, this is something. Let's see how that plays out the next few days. Could set the tone for negotiations with other big U.S. trading partners such as Canada and the EU. All right, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's see if there's anything else. Tesla stock pops ahead of delivery numbers. So let's see. When is the delivery today? Do we have a date? Um, oh, we were up as high as 1.4% in the pre-market at 304. So I'll check that out. Let's see. But do we have a date? Second quarter. Uh, Along with earnings, Tesla's investors will expect. Oh, when is earnings? Hold on. July 29th. Okay, so we have earnings July 29th for Tesla. So let's see, we're still planning to release models this year, said Lars Morey, Vice President of Vehicle Engineering at Tesla during. Okay, but when is the date for the second quarter earnings will arrive a few weeks after deliveries? Okay. Wall Street currently expects earnings per share of 44 cents, according to FactSet, down from 52-cent reported in the second. All right, so, well, that's what did it say about China? Tesla first quarter earnings conference call. Trade tensions between China and the US also had some Chinese car buyers avoiding American made products, according to Wall Street analysts. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get second quarter. It's like this will be at the right at the top of the article, and I just missed it. Um, on Wednesday. So that's gonna happen today. All right, so yeah, I'll keep an eye out on that. I didn't see any other news that I felt like Tesla's June China made EV sales see first rise in 9 months. Uh, China made elections in June from a year up 0.8% to 71.5K units, snapping an 8 month losing streak, even as lower cost new models from its Chinese rivals put growing pressure on the US automaker. Made in its including both Chinese sales and exports to Europe and other markets were up 16% from May. Okay, so I'm, I'm confused. I thought the report didn't come out. Let's check and see what's happening here in the pre-market. Let's reset that. Okay, so did we gap up? Yep. All right, so it looks like we gapped up from 300 and change to 301.89. And where are we now? We're currently at 302.39. So yeah, we looks like we might close the gap because it looks like we're heading towards closing this gap here at 300. But we are a couple bucks away. So we'll see. Yesterday, you could take a look at my trade journal for July. Let me refresh. Monday, like I said, I didn't take. I just took one trade. I wasn't expecting to do anything. Just wanted to continue my test on the lower delta contracts, 0.20 around that range. And then yesterday, Tuesday, I did the same thing. I took three trades. The first trade was let me go to the dashboard. The first trade was an accident. The first trade was an accident. I meant to put in the contract for two. I mean, for a put, a short to the downside, right? But it ended up I ended up accidentally entering a call, which netted me $50, right, minus fees, right, so 46 and change. So it worked out in my favor. um, but then I lost on the put at $273. I only stayed in the trade for 1 minute. I didn't give it much room, although this was a little over 10% of the position. If we go into it, like I got into the trade at 848. If we take a look at what happened at 848 real quick. So if we pop over to 848 here, this is what happened. So I was looking at this wick on this candle. So here's the entry, right? I mean, here's the open. So now we need to make, this was like, this was more than an aggressive entry for me, sort of, because ideally we already broke market structure. Because here's the, uh, let me move this up. At the open, we started heavy toward the downside, right? We had this pullback. Pullback is expected, right? So we have this pullback, and then you have continuation. We did make a new low, right? So here's where it closed initially after the open, and then after the pullback, here's where we closed again. Now we have pullback, and then we make a new low here with this new candle, and then we started to pull all the way back here. So right now, to me, this looked more like a retest of this key level at the open, right? Because we could see um, we touched this point twice in the pre-market, right here and here. So to me, I was like, okay, sellers look like they were really stepping in aggressively here at this point. So at 848, after this candle, I was expecting, it's like, okay, this is a low risk entry, so I'll go ahead and enter the trade. And if the trade begins to work against me, if this candle doesn't make a new low before it closes, I'm going to get out. That's why I was only in for 1 minute. So a low risk, not an A plus, because typically if you see something like that, in this zone versus this zone. But I was looking at these other indicators, and if we go to QQQ, I think it was at 848 yesterday. Right here. Yeah. So it looks like the at 848, you can see like buyers are like sitting, like neck to neck, right? They were smack even for them and SPY, I think it was. Let me check SPY real quick. 848. Yeah, same thing with SPY almost. So, like I said, it was an aggressive entry. I was looking at that confluence, and so I was like, okay, based on this wick, this one kind of like buyers were starting to step in, but we had this green candle, but then this next down close candle engulfed that green candle. So that's why I went ahead and jumped in at the open of this candle. But it ended up working against me. So took a loss on that trade. But then I entered the next trade at 8:49 for a call right after. So that's when it took off. Now I ended up getting out the trade. I didn't stay in too long, which I probably should have left, one or two runners. But I had some things to do, and I kind of got like I didn't want to say I didn't know how long this consolidation would happen. Sometimes you can consolidate and do like a kind of sharp drop, and I didn't want to sit through that. So I was like, man, because we're consolidating, and I see like sellers stepping in with these wicks, I was like, and I give it two candles, two candles. So the second candle here were these two down close candles. So I ended up getting out. And then right after, and this is what's going to happen, right? It typically happens. It's happened to me a couple of times. But after I give it two candles, because here's the next green candle after the first down close candle in this trend, after this, push up. And so looking at this, it's like, okay, it looks like buyers are going to step in, but then the next two candles, we make a new low. And that's what I wasn't interested in. And so I'm like, I'm not going to sit for the next candle to make a third, a new low with the third candle. And that's what I've been doing in the past. And so today or yesterday, I told myself I'm definitely going to get out if we don't make a new high on the second candle after the first up close candle. Um, which was after the first pullback candle. I don't know, that might be a little confusing, but basically, when you're in a trend, you expect pullback. This isn't something that you necessarily have to jump out of, especially when you're in a trailing contract. But because I didn't get into the position here, I got in at the position at 8:48. So I got in at this position. If I was in at this entry, I would have went ahead and sat through this because I had a better entry. But because I got in at 8:48 on this at the end of this candle, at the close of this candle, I didn't want to sit through and possibly suffer through an aggressive pullback because it could definitely come back. What I know Tesla to do, or many stocks for that matter, this is your pricing zone, right? These two candles, these two down close candles, and typically what could happen is during this period we could have retested this zone. We didn't do it here, but you can see it did happen at this point. It happened later, and that's what I didn't want to sit through. So I was like, okay, we might not just continue towards this key level. We might pull back into this zone, retest it, and see if buyers hold this level. Then we might reverse and head back toward this key level again. And you can see that's exactly what happened. You don't know when it's going to happen, so you have to just kind of play it bar by bar. And bar by bar just means candle by candle. And that's what I did. I'm like, I don't want to sit through this. I don't know how long the consolidation is going to be. And we could just drop and retest this zone. And if I was in at this entry, I would have sat through it because that's enough padding, um, between, where I was and this potential drop. And I could have gave it more room. So I just decided to exit the trade. And as you can see, um, you know, $459. So it would have been a really nice trade. So walked away with 233 on the day. Okay, so after fees and stuff. So not bad for the lower delta contracts. So we'll see coming into today what I'll be looking for coming into today. Let's check the orange folder, red folder news. It's 10 minutes after. All right, so forecast was 99K. We came in at negative 33K. Let's see. I didn't see. Let's check if there's been any impact. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna close that gap. $340. Yeah, so we got a little bit to go. another dollar. Let's check and see what how the market responded. 715. Whoa. Okay, so the market did respond to that news. So we did drop, and not sure how much further we might continue to drop. Hold on. Oops. Put this back. Don't know what I was doing. Yeah, we're definitely okay. So let's check Q's. Yeah, same reaction. That was a huge, strong down close candle. So then we kind of gapped. Jeez. Okay, looks like buyers are defending this zone possibly. Yep, we just closed that candle, so let's see what happens. It's funny like how seconds could go by and this marker just doesn't move, and then all of a sudden it just jumps. But all right, so that's what we have coming into today. So let me look at my game plan. Let me check. Yeah, Tesla dropped a little bit too. But it looks like buyers are stepping in on SPY and QQQ. So we'll see. So coming into today, let's see here. Let me turn this off. I'm testing out these new scripts as I mentioned before. Oh, what happened? Let me check what's going on with my script. All right, so we do have a key level, couple of key levels to look at. Coming into the open today, as you can see, like I called it, as I called it yesterday in the pre-market prep, I said based on the activity from the post-market and the pre-market, what is likely is we would, have this aggressive pull down and come back and test this this level here. This was the pre-market, right? This was the pre-market low before the open. So we came out heavy and stayed heavy below the pre-market low. So I was like, that would mean we might have a retest of some sort, and then if we do, we'll see where the buyers defend. They step in, then we could have a push towards this key level of 30304 and change. But I didn't expect us to go any higher, right? And I was like, yeah, I would check the reaction off this zone, but what I think will happen is we'll reject off this zone and just kind of consolidate, and that's exactly what we did. So coming into today, if you look at the activity from yesterday, consider this context. It looks like we might just come in at the open, maybe consolidate for a bit, maybe consolidate for a bit, and um, possibly slowly graduate towards, this key level again, 304. And same thing as yesterday. I'll check the reaction to see whether we reject or if we, break above this key level. And what will be confirmation for me is if we retest this key level and buyers continue to defend and step in aggressively and push toward the pre-market high. And then what I'd like to see for continuation is a retest of the pre-market high of 305. So if that happens, cool. Now, what would be ideal as far as what I would be looking for um, is if we do the same thing as yesterday, start out heavy, right? Really heavy, towards this previous day low of 293.21, because that would mean a retest of this same zone, right? Because this was the previous day low yesterday. And then I would, check to see if buyers hold or defend this key level, for a break towards the upside, towards the pre-market low. This to me would present a scalping opportunity for me to purchase, these lower delta contracts, and possibly even a larger position. I didn't take this position yesterday because I got into the home yesterday. I told you I was out, um, running an errand, when I did the pre-market video live yesterday. So when I got in, as soon as I got in, the bell rung. So I had to open up my computer and everything, and get logged in and tap in with my mentor because he's trading live with the Discord community, his Discord community. So I had to do all of that. So I didn't really get a chance to, you know, mentally prepare to enter into a larger position. So I didn't. And I didn't jump in. I just waited to confirm that we were going to continue toward the upside. And that's why I got in late at this position, with the lower Delta contract. So I still made money. To me, that was more of a, like I said, I took that loss at the beginning. I first made a mistake. And that's what happens when I'm not kind of mentally prepared. You can see I made that mental mistake. It ended up working in my favor. But then I took a loss on the second, with the aggressive entry. So that wasn't an A plus setup. And had I just waited for patiently for the A plus setup, then I just would have walked away with a much larger gain for yesterday. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, today I'm already here at my desk, so I'm patient, gonna be patient, gonna focus on A plus setup. And if I see it, then I'll go ahead and enter it. If I don't, I'm okay with walking away from today with no trades. But this is what I would like to see, is this pullback, I mean this drop, that we stay heavy after the open towards the previous day low. We don't even have to come and like touch it perfectly, but as long as we get close to this and I see buyers start to step in and defend it, what I'd be looking for is, like, you see this wick on this down close candle, this purple down close candle. That's what I'd be looking for, is once we make our way down toward this spot, I like to see like an aggressive wick on the down close candle, and then a wick on the up close, the following up close candle, right? To show me that buyers are still stepping, sellers are trying to push the stock down, but buyers are stepping in aggressively to push the stock up, or a very aggressive, strong bullish candle. So one of those two, would be fine. This is what I'm looking for. Let's see. I'll show you bullish candlesticks. We go to images. So this is what I'll be looking for, on that second, the following up close candle from the bullish, I mean from the bearish down close candle. So I'd want to see this same or a similar wick on the body of the, down close candle, and then I want to see this type of candle on the following up close candle, or it could be a bullish, a very strong bullish candle like this. So either one of those is what I'd be looking for. And then I'll go ahead and consider taking a larger position, because that is to me a good indication that buyers are really stepping in and we might continue. So that could be a much larger gain for me on the day. If, I don't take a 10 to 50K position, cool. My lower delta contracts should move as well if we continue from 293 to 302, because that's a $5 move, right? So, if we make it to 305, that's even better, right? Because, um, now we're looking at what, $12, $12, yeah. So that I can still make over a grand if this happens. So this is what will be ideal for me. I would love to see we come back and retest this zone. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for coming into today. That's it from me. Like I said, if you found value in this video, feel free to like and subscribe and follow for more. Again, I only My primary focus is on Tesla. And like I gave the football analogy the other day, Tesla is my primary receiver as the QB. This is what I look for, my number one option. I do have fallback options in the market, which is the Mag 7 and the semiconductors, AMD, NVIDIA, stuff like that. So um, if I don't see anything and my mentor, calls out a signal for one of the other tech stocks, then I'll look to enter that trade. If I'm feeling not feeling confident, then I'll just enter the trade with him via the paper trade. So that's what I did yesterday. And the first trade that he entered with Apple, we all took a loss of 2K. I'm in a paper trade, and then Apple represented it the setup, and so we all jumped back in. He profited over like close to 5,500, and I broke even. Um, because like I said, I lost like a little over, it's like 2.2K, and then I ended up earning like 2.9K or 2.5K. I didn't add it to my journal, so I forgot. I don't remember exactly what the numbers were, but I think I was up either between 400 to $700. So I had to recoup that 2K loss, and then whatever the gain was above that, which I believe was $400 to $700. So that was a nice trade. The reason why I didn't enter the trade live is because I want to build trust, in taking those types of positions with my mentor, not just risk my money willy nilly without, building trust. His system does work. Now it's just a matter of me building trust and becoming familiar with what to expect when I'm in such trades. And so sitting in a trade like that via paper trade versus my real money was significant, right? Because look at the loss amount, the loss total on the first trade. Would I have, after suffering a 2.2K loss, jump right back in? No, if this is my first time, I'm like, that loss would have been devastating, even though, it's like I can afford 2.2K, right? It's not the end of the world. But psychologically, those types of losses do affect me. And so I have to manage my psychology, my mental state as I'm, conducting these trades, because if it gets in the way, it could cost you to lose a lot more money. You to, do things that you shouldn't be doing, okay, or making decisions that you shouldn't be making. So with that said, being able to sit and watch and then calculate the next 2 months, because my plan is to enter all the trades that my mentor enters into via paper trade, um, and at the position that I want to or normally would do, whether it's 10 to 10K to 50K, and then see what I should expect in terms of like when pullbacks occur, how much, am I risking? And it's just really like mentally becoming familiar with looking at those numbers versus being in a real trade and being unfamiliar and seeing, the loss total or the loss amount accumulate in the P&L section of my trade, and just seeing that, balloon from $0 to 2K, because it happened pretty quickly. And I was like, dang, I was like, that's crazy. So now it's a matter of calculating the overall percentage, right? So that was like 10% of 10K, right, would be 1,000. So that was a 20% loss. And it's like, do I want to sit through a 20% loss? So that's what I'm evaluating as I paper trade with my mentor this month and next month. So anyway, I'll keep you guys abreast on that. If you have questions, just feel free to, ask me in the comment section, or you can request to join my Discord so you can follow along in real time. All right, I'm gonna drop the mic right here. It's your man Ace. I'm out.